In order to claim VAT back, a charity has to be registered for VAT. Once registered for VAT, like any other taxpayer, charities have the entitlement to reclaim VAT provided the VAT they incur relates to a taxable income they generate. So charities by their very nature carry out non-business activities. Some have wholly taxable activities and non-business activities. Some have non-business activities, taxable and exempt income. And because they've got this mixed liability mishmash of income, what we tend to do with charities is say, we look at the income streams, because the ability to recover VAT is generally relative to the taxable income that they generate. So the first step for a charity would be to identify the VAT that relates directly to taxable income. They can recover that in full. The next step, once they've done that, you then look at the VAT that relates to non-business activities. They can't have any of that back, so we'll restrict that. We'll look at VAT that relates to exempt income. Potentially they can have that back. It depends on whether the VAT is below the de minimis limits. And then you would have in the middle the VAT that you could call the general overhead VAT, the residual VAT, which doesn't relate to either taxable, exempt or non-business. What we do with that, we apportion that for the charity, or the charity is entitled to apportion that. And because we're talking about mixed liability income, they have to have two methods of apportionment. So the business, non-business apportionment method, as well as a partial exemption method. So once you've done your first direct attribution, you will then go into the business, non-business apportionment to identify the proportion of the general overhead costs that relates to non-business. You restrict that. You're then left with just the proportion of the general overhead costs that relates to business. You then apportion that using the partial exemption method. And when you apportion that, you're then saying only the taxable proportion of that business general overhead costs is recoverable. It's a bit involved, but charities, once they are registered for VAT, typically would talk to I would advise they talk to a tax advisor, VAT advisor, and the VAT advisor would help them shape up the methods of apportionment that they need to apply. The short answer to that question, a charity is able to recover VAT. Yes, they're able to recover VAT, but it's not as straightforward as your general business that only generates taxable income.